So, Caleb, the Lady Vols, let's change genders for a moment. Not you and me, but in sports we talk about. The Lady Vols enter the tournament. What are fair expectations for the Lady Vols? Give you a couple of different options: Final Four, Elite Eight, Sweet 16, or they've already reached expectations given what they had this season and a new coach in Kim Caldwell.
I think if they they've already reached expectations from the beginning of the year. We thought there was going to be at least one NIT season, and they made the NCAA tournament. I'm going to say round of 32. They get to the round of 32. I don't think they can complain, given what they've dealt with. They're going to get to the round of 32 if they beat if they get to the round of 32, and they get bounced out by Ohio State. There's no shame in that, losing at Ohio State. I don't really think it's fair to expect them to go to the Sweet 16, Elite Eight, or Final Four this year. I don't know if you tell me I'm wrong on that, but I don't think it's fair to expect Kim Caldwell to go to the Sweet 16 her first year at Tennessee, given the fact that she inherited at least 4 players not cut out to run this system.
Well, I think you're seeing Kim Caldwell learn how to be a better coach. I think that it was like everything's going great after they beat UConn. So she poured on more gas on the fire. She poured on more steam, whatever you want to use. And I think she ran this team into the ground with her up and down practices and her up and down style, which will eventually be Tennessee's style. And they're going to win at a high level there. I believe that. But you need a little bit more depth. And I think that Kim Caldwell continued to run her stuff as she ran it last year when she had her players. So I think the expectations after that UConn game should have been easily Sweet 16. But now I feel like she's probably learned that you can't push as hard as she has. So I guess I would alter the expectations considering they stumbled down the stretch. And I will say my expectations are round of 32. Now, as of next year, the expectations moving forward with the Lady Vols program and the support they get is Final Four every year. That's my expectations.
Oh, I agree with you on that. And I think you're right. I think she went harder after the UConn game. It's also true that, there was just a worn down thing because it reminds me of in 2005, 2006, Bruce Pearl's first year. We talked about that. They got to the top 10 and then they really wore down in the end because they weren't very deep. Bruce Pearl said at the time, and he admitted it. He said, look, I couldn't practice this team. He couldn't even practice them in March because they were just so tired, and he knew they were tired. I wonder if Kim Caldwell took the same approach. I mean, if they're this gassed, she probably should have stopped a few practices to keep them healthy, but to keep them fresh. But maybe that's not her principle. That's fine. I think Kim Caldwell is going to have 2 first years. I said that from the start because she's got her recruits coming in next year, but that's half the roster and they're all freshmen. So they need, there's going to be a little bit of growing pains. But I do think they're going to make a splash in a deep run next year. And then year 3, I'm seeing potential national championship. But
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but like this year, round of 32 is totally fine.
Do you agree with me that she made a mistake this year and she's going to make mistakes? She's still a young coach.
Yeah, she's going to make mistakes. But I do believe this, and this is, and actually, we'll take this to football real quick because we're going to go all the way back to last year when she was hired. Remember, John Adams asked her the question if her style could translate to this level.
Yes.
And Dave, what's the biggest thing that gets a football X's and O's guru who's hired at the SEC after being successful at other schools? Don't you think the biggest thing that results in them flaming out is they don't know how to adjust their offensive schemes for the SEC? Like, don't realize they're kind of in a different level, different playing field.
Right. Okay.
She did that. She did adjust in the personnel she got. She actually adjusted immediately. And she was very aware of the conference she was in. I mean, my best example of that, it's kind of crazy to bring up now, but amidst all the things we criticize him for, Butch Jones did have an offensive scheme. And it worked for him at 2 places. He got to Tennessee. He didn't change his scheme at all, did he? He didn't change his philosophy or anything.
No, he did not. And there were situations close to the goal line where they didn't have a player with their hand in the dirt on the offensive line. That to me was bizarre. But getting back to Caldwell, let's keep this in mind. If she did make a mistake by keeping her foot on the gas too long, too hard, no Georgia reference here, please. She has only been a head coach since 2016. So listen, I'm sure it takes takes a couple of years to kind of feel super comfortable in any difficult job. This is a really difficult job. And she's less than a decade in. So you're going to see her make mistakes. You're going to see her improve. And I think she's a fantastic hire. I just think that she probably stuck with the hand she was dealt a little too long when it was time to, even if it cost you a regular season game or two, to ease up a little bit and make sure you're fresh for the tournament. Now, she is fortunate, and maybe she's factoring this in. The women get a longer break in between the regular season and the postseason. So maybe she's factored that in there, Caleb, in terms of I could push it really hard to get the best seed possible, and then we'll get the longer break and we'll be good. Maybe that's what she's gambling on. And if so, she could be proven right.
Yeah, and that could be the move. Maybe the limping down the stretch too. I mean, let's just point this out. Look, she did just have a baby. That takes him in the middle of the season. That can take a mental toll. And, I mean, there's postpartum. Maybe she didn't, what if she wanted to be, I mean, I'm not psychoanalyzing her, but like, I mean, this isn't, well, okay, maybe I am. But like, what I'm saying is that like, I mean, look, I just had a baby. I know this much. It's a big emotional roller coaster when it happens. And if you're having to go back on the road and travel all the time and run practices, that can be a lot. She had to go straight back to work. I mean, I took 2 weeks off, to bond. So like, maybe
I actually wrote a story, a Tennessee football recruiting story in the delivery room.
Look at you working,
Yeah.
They never.
My editor showed up to check out my little one and my son and said, "Wait, you sent a story in this morning."
They never talk about what the man has to deal with in the delivery room. It's always about what the woman has to deal with. We get a chair.
That's right.
And
I'm transcribing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And I hated transcribing.
Much. I mean, I'm just saying, ladies, y'all have to go through pregnancy, but we have to hear about what it was like for y'all to go through pregnancy, and that's way harder.